Kia ora, my name's Ben Sheeran and I'm a long-time resident in Rothesay Bay. Frustratingly, I was out of Tamaki Makaurau. I was actually in Raglan at the time and was sort of hearing about it in real time, talking to family and friends, and you know, it unfolded. It felt like slow motion, really. So there was some frustration not being at home, and you know, also like wondering, you know, what will we come back to, and you know, that was, I guess, some anxiety for myself, but also for, you know, elderly parents and, you know, siblings and things like that. Inevitably, there are sort of winners and losers, or people that are more affected than others. We came off pretty lightly, living at a higher elevation, and you know, I have parents who live in more of a floodplain, and they were more affected. Working in the environment sector too, we were also thinking about some of our habitats and our coastal environment, and what damage we were likely to see there. So we're an umbrella organisation that covers a whole lot of work we do in the community sector. So that includes a lot of the volunteer work that we do in the Taiatea and Rothesay catchment in terms of enhancing our natural habitats. So, you know, we're very lucky, even within those two catchments, we've got inanga whitebait spawning zones. It's a real rarity in an urban environment. We've got those to protect. We've got you know, flora and fauna that's regenerating to try and bring back what we've had in previous times. So I work in some citizen science areas as well with the Auckland King Tides initiative, where we've been watching king tides, which are the highest tides of the year, and they give us a bit of a prediction about what future sea levels will look like due to climate change. So we have, you know, half a dozen times a year the opportunity to look and see what those impacts might be with higher sea levels. If you put that together with a coastal storm or with flooding, then you can see that some of those impacts get magnified, and we have situations like we had in the 2023 storms. We had that storm hitting at a time when we had a relatively low tide, not a high tide. It was actually in the king tide cycle. We actually had a king tide that day, but it was earlier in the day, and so we actually had a lower than usual tide. But if we'd had that king tide coinciding with that storm surge, you know, some of those areas that were chest deep in water would have been far deeper, and we would have had a bigger impact, and also our town centre right through would have been more affected than it was. When you look at our natural systems were absolutely fine. You know, if we look at the ability of Te Taiao to adapt and to be resilient to these types of weather events, it was, you know, our inanga habitat was okay. You know, a lot of our tuna eel, they know how to get out into tributaries and find a safe place to hide. So I guess ironically, nature's okay. It's what human beings have done in modifying that environment. That's where the rub is, I guess. It's been there in plain sight in black and white that all our floodplains are there. They're mapped, and yet we continue to build in those zones, and we continue to build in ways that we shouldn't be building in those zones. What have we learned? You know, if you get insurance money, do we simply build back what was already there, or do we have a bit of a look and say, well, you know, how can we build back better? On whatever you think, you know, whoever you vote for, you know, whatever your opinions on climate change or whatever, I think generally people want to do the right thing and help each other. When you see that people power and people coming together, you realise you're part of a bigger cause of trying to make the community better than it's been in the past.